Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I think in ICT or in computer language we say everything is redundant. You know, it has been said once and you repeat. So we would not like to basically do that, and I'll just proceed from where it is required. But fundamentally, I would like to, share with you one very common, very funny thing about our government, and because I have been there, and we don't mind spending a lot of money on hardware. We say buy computers, but when it comes to software or content, they say it should be open. You know, why don't you try open source? So that's no money at all. So this is the kind of a problem that we have. That's why we have really a kind of a a bottleneck where we don't really have anything that we can basically do when the computers are there in the schools today. I'll skip some of the ones I brought in. In fact, when in West Bengal, for example, we have a problem of power, and even the power is not available for even 1 hour continuously in most of the rural schools, and that is a big problem. Then reach of telecommunication, no matter people say we have global reach and things like that, they are not there, BSNL or any other service of providers. This is again a kind of a issue, a challenge. I have visited almost about, after being a technical advisor to the school education department, I have visited about 120 schools in the rural and the urban belt in West Bengal. You'll be very surprised that there have been about 564 schools which have been actually provided with 10 computers each with the LCD projectors. And after about a year, when we went to visit up there, the vendors were gone. They were not to be. They had a call center number which was basically which keeps on ringing. There is no response to it, and in some cases where the school authorities have taken some interest, the attendance in the schools have increased definitely. I was just wondering, basically what do you do with the LCD? They said, we screen films up there and say, like sports or these kind of things, and I think it's a waste of money and waste of resources. And technology, as everybody has been told, is not used for learning. Technology, and it's quite surprising because where the learning services agency have been actually provided, are appointed to provide ICT learning services, whatever. Spreadsheets are being taught at 5th grades. I think this is basically a lack of innovation, and this should be avoided as much. Teachers are absolutely, when we went to most of these schools, teachers said, well, this gentleman is not there, he has the key. I said, you don't use the computer room and all? They said, no, we don't. And there were no teacher basically who would really come and say that, yes, this is the lab that we actually been visited. But there is one person, probably one person who is hired with a very low salary, who actually takes care of the computers in schools wherever there is a school. So, and teachers are really reluctant. Teachers are normally asked to come to the state capital, maybe district headquarters for training. They lose interest. They already have files with them when they come to the district headquarters to sort their problems with the DIs and all. So naturally they are not interested. This is a kind of a issue where some kind of a e-learning thing should be used for teaching training, not to really get them out of the school premises or maybe the places where they are. This is one on the issue. And of course, we also have a problem here is basically ICT in India is vendor driven, not user driven or demand driven. So this is a very scary point, and this has to be changed. And basically the demand should basically come from the user. The user must know why we need this, what we need. So unless that is really happening, there's no point wasting so much of money. And I was actually going through a lot of material as to what is happening elsewhere and what is not really happening here. In 2000, let me talk a little bit about e-learning. That's what I really would like to do, since I don't really have much of a time. And you see, suddenly when we talked about ICT in schools and learning, there had been a lot of pressure for a lot of agencies to basically develop content, and the content were developed were haphazard. There was no framework, there was no standards, nothing. So everybody basically were having their own set of learning materials. The way, the methods, everything was different. And of course, we had that, okay, hardware is there, so you basically please find out your own solutions. In the WBEC, the Web-Based Education Commission to the President and Congress of US, December 2000, it basically mentioned that we've used the internet in a narrow fashion, like vast textbooks or lectures online, instead of exploring its interactive potential. That is exactly what is missing. There is no interaction. This is basically very flat. Okay. Now, what do students get to see? Videos of lectures, multimedia-based content with sound and motion, PowerPoint enriched with animations, with whatever, subject topics converted into visual content, which basically may or may not create interest, and online examination and quizzes. This is one thing which basically definitely is of much use, I believe. Students initially find this attractive, but gradually lose interest. Technology use not meant to substitute textbooks, they should be supplementary. About 60% of the students find these not useful, as they do not help much in understanding of the lessons beyond classrooms. As Dr. Jaina was saying, that we don't need to basically replicate everything that is in the book into a kind of e-content. Figure out which are the toughest part in those area in that kind of a class, and then build on it. You see, we have the problem that we really have is we have lack of interactivity and simulation. You see, I also remember that when we used to learn science in schools in class 11, 12, we would have something that we study. We would do something in the labs, because labs, they couldn't afford those, those instruments. So we didn't really get to see any instrument out there. We had to basically learn. We had to basically do that inch to cm conversion and things like that, which have no use. In fact, laboratories basically should be simulated. We should have a simulated environment of laboratories which will help students actually, learn much better. You say, interactivity, this is David Kolb, who has written an experimental learning, says interactivity results in deeper learning because learners can hypothesize to test their understanding, learn by mistakes, and make sense of the unexpected. Learning by doing. I don't see basically why mathematics, we should have a kind of environment where the mathematics, the computer should allow them to work step by step. Why would they basically have a solution? You don't do it, so there's a solution. You allow them to basically go step by step. I know that I have done it sometime. Like in case of an equation, solving an equation, factorization, or anything of this sort, you can basically give them, and at every step, you allow them to do it, and then correct at every step. That is predefined. Because, in the computer, language of computers, if you define a process, it can be transformed. So, there is no problem in interactivity. And learners shouldn't be passive recipients. They should be active recipients of information. WBC also say the e-learning experience should be as rich as, if not richer than, the traditional education experience. Why would we go otherwise? In fact, like this is not really giving me any value. Lao Tse, from the paper that I really referred, in 5th century said, if you tell me, I will listen. If you show me, I will see. If you let me experience, I will learn. Thank you very much.